Get in, nerds, we're playing Victoria 3. We're still working on getting rid of assembly going, but before we get too far into that, I think it's time to conquer Ida Abbas. Again, not gonna marshal too much force trying to make this happen. What if I put the church... Oh, right. It has to be one of these groups. I can get the industrialists in there if I could get the Republican Union in power. Excellent. So there's pharmaceuticals. And then soon we'll get working on quinine. So after quinine, I think the next priority is going to be water tube boiler, because that's going to really increase our whole mining situation, and that's going to be important. Private construction is working on another round of chemical plants. Our uprising, that's just fine. Put another general in charge of dealing with that situation. What was I doing? I was talking to you all about the market and about chemical plants and fertilizer and explosives. So we're pretty okay as far as explosives goes, but I think we're going to finish out upgrading the production methods for these buildings. You know what? We're also going to grab... No, we're not going to grab the ones in North Africa just quite yet. Not until we finish conquering the place at any rate. Because that's going to be a whole process. We've finally gotten enough bureaucratic capacity that we can start upgrading on these, so I'm going to work on the Home Affairs one. And at the same time, I'm going to work on the law enforcement one, because we're building fast enough currently that we can probably get the we can probably get going as fast as we need to with our current construction capacity. All of the... I know I just interspersed these last episode, but I think I'm going the other way. Oh! The Egyptian-Ottoman crisis. The Ottoman Empire's attempt to take back control of the Levant from Egypt has become an international incident. Our involvement may tip the balance of power in the region. We need to keep an eye on the region. That gives us an interest in Arabia, but we have no interest in this crisis. I'm going to keep an eye on the region. Does that mean we can get ourselves involved in this incident? No, we cannot. Not yet, anyway. Interesting. Kind of should have anticipated that, but it is what it is. We're nearly done with our current round of relations improvements, so I can go ahead and start focusing on other powers. What rank is the Ottoman Empire at right now? They're at rank 8. They're a major power. There's war with Ida Abbas. And we should have war with this. So this is what's called... I just realized I haven't actually had one of these on camera before. So this is a native uprising. This is what happens when you colonize areas and you don't pay attention to how tense things are with the natives, which I haven't been, because what is being a colonizer for, if not pissing people off for I'm not going to say no good reason. No good reason. Let's put it that way. No good reason. I was going to say no reason originally, but that's not quite right. I'm doing it for a reason. It's just a bad reason. No sensible reason. So this divided monarchy thing, we're where you're colonizing because you want to steal stuff. And I want to steal stuff. The stuff belongs in France. So, Divided Monarchy event's going pretty well. We're very near to completing it. So I think probably we'll do this episode will go until that gets completed, maybe? We'll see how the sort of timing looks. We've already finished our conquest of Ida Boss. We got it done in one... Hey! There's right of assembly. Wonderful. So that's helped our radicalization situation significantly. We got a movement to enact autocracy, but no one really wants that. So, I think next, though, we're going to work on... No, okay. The movement to get rid of our colonial affairs is over. That's right. How are the industrialists doing? They're still very salty about both the Haitian situation and the fact that I booted them out of the government when they asked me to do. I forget what it is they asked me to do, but it wasn't something I was going to do, so it is what it is. So we're still boosting our administrative capacity. Once this government building gets completed, I'm going to tick these construction sectors up to the top to get them building as well. Provided our iron situation can handle it, which it looks like it definitely can. We have the capacity. Just throw those up in front. So here's our war with Ida Boss. We'll need to do quite a bit in order to get what we want with that. So the default war goals for... Okay, alright. We have an election. Aggressive campaign. Louis Napoleon Bonaparte, following an address where he condemned the Republican Union, has begun to mobilize dedicated partisans to oppose it in the election. An unprincipled morass, best not served in Parliament, but in prison. Devoid of positive achievement, a collective self-parody, an embarrassment to the French nation. Down with the Republican Union. There's certainly a better alternative. This gives a lot of momentum to the Resistance Party and reduces the momentum of the Republican Union, or a pack of miscreants indeed. This just reduces the Republican Union. I'm going to go with this one. We're in a two-party situation. And that's what we're going to go with, because this is ultimately going to be the group that makes, that Louis Napoleon becomes part of, I believe, once he kind of sorts himself out and becomes the king. The emperor, rather. Still not able to conquer Ida Boss. So the default war goals for this are they want to conquer back the territory we've taken, and we want colonization rights. What colonization rights does is it just speeds up colonization. Go ahead and grab Ida Boss. Very good. And how much longer till we are out of... Oh, we're actually nearly done with our truce with Mascara. So what's our infamy at? It's actually pretty high still. So we'll wait a little longer. Probably. How much infamy will we get? We'll get 11.6. So we need to be at below 13.4 in order to be able to not get above 25. So we've got a little bit longer before we can finish out the conquest of Mascara. We now have a contested government. That's very good for us. So I think we're right where we want to be with our government legitimacy. And with this journal entry, we're doing pretty well. Doing pretty well indeed. We're also continuing to build up plenty of jobs in areas where there are where there's unemployment, and that's important for us in terms of keeping our standard of living high, which will be important in terms of offsetting radicalism, since we're having quite a bit of that. So, there's a situation going on in Germany. The Austrians and the Prussians are fighting. Austria wants our help in exchange for an obligation. I think we can certainly afford it. So what does Prussia want? German leadership. I'm really not sure how these diplomatic plays work. I've only ever formed Germany diplomatically, like peacefully. They want to conquer Hanover, Hanoverian Brunswick, and Tyrol, part of Austria. I got a lot of help too. I don't have a dog in this race. You give me something I might want. You give me Rhineland, then we'll talk. But for now, I'm gonna demobilize my forces. Cool. And then Russia goes with Austria. Great Britain sides with Prussia. Alright, it's a general European war. Everyone else is spending blood and treasure dealing with this situation in Germany. And I'm not. I'm just having a chill time over here in France, putting a proper Bonaparte back on the throne. Something that has never created a problem for the rest of Europe before. Alright, so I think the next thing we're going to do is, in terms of construction, we definitely need more sulfur mines, so I'm going to go ahead and get some of those built. Lorraine is a good place for them. We're going to double our sulfur output. How's the market for fertilizer? Still a little rough. Explosives are the same. We're going to finish out moving to soil-enriching farms. Let's go ahead and start improving relations with Sweden. And you know what? We'll improve relations with the Ottoman Empire as well. The two Sicilies? Heck yes. Papal states? Sure. Heirs, law enforcement, and home affairs. That's what we like to see. I am going to increase law enforcement further. In fact, the government administrations that I just built have not had the accelerating effect on my institutional development that I had hoped they would. Where's paper? Here. Here's paper. So paper mills are another thing we need. Ooh! Nationalism unlocked. I forgot these had quotes. Should I start reading these? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, this gives us some extra authority, which is nice. Russia wants a trade agreement. I accept. We're going to go ahead and build some paper mills, because we're doing a big old government expansion. Rhone needs paper mills. By which I mean Rhone needs employment, and I've got a lot of it available in the form of paper mills. Add this to the... No, we're not. We're going to leave it at the bottom. Because, frankly, we're probably going to throw some more government administration onto the bottom of the queue, because I just love having a government that is more like China's government, which is a government that governs more. As you can see, I'm sort of prioritizing areas that have unemployment because I want to reduce the number of unemployed people in France. French Algiers raided. This is again an event we've seen before. De la Brunerie. You can get rid of him. You don't need to. Oh, right. Yes. Mascara. It's time to fight. So this will finish out the conquest. Hey, here it is. With the failure of the previous regime to legitimize itself, a swift coup has elevated Louis Napoleon Bonaparte to power. Donning the robes and regalia of his antecedent Napoleon the Great, he has crowned himself King of France in a grand ceremony in the Notre Dame Cathedral. In consultation with France, I gracefully accept the honors bestowed upon me by a grateful nation. I swear to the people that this empire shall be one of peace. There shall be conquests, yes, but they shall be conquests of reconciliation, religion, and morality. This is our empire, and if there is this is our empire, if there is an empire to be. This is our empire, if there is an empire to be. Long live Louis Napoleon. This makes the landowners very angry and makes him more popular. It throws Louis-Philippe Napoleon into exile, or long live the House of Bonaparte. This makes the landowners less radical. Louis-Philippe d'Orléans is exiled. And this makes the petite bourgeoisie happy. I'm going to get the restorer. I like having a popular monarch. So, this is recalculated. Hey, armed forces. Be Bonapartist. So now we've got a more legitimate government. And now, switch into autocracy, maybe? So that'll get the landowners angry, the industrialists, the rural folk, the trade unions. Okay, I can't do that right away, but you know, that'll be on the docket. So now that we've got Louis Napoleon in power, we have professional army, we have interventionism, we have monarchy. The only social change he wants is autocracy. So now we have this Cement the House of Bonaparte journal entry. And this needs to complete, and then we'll get some good stuff. So, France is a tumultuous land and has seen more governments come and go in recent generations than some other countries have seen pass over centuries. To firmly establish the monarchy, the House of Bonaparte must prove that it can provide the stability France cries out for. The Bonaparte dynasty is working hard to secure their rule. Will complete if the Bonaparte dynasty maintains uninterrupted rule at no less than contested government legitimacy. The higher legitimacy the dynasty can achieve, the sooner they will secure the throne. And we can't have a civil war brewing. That'll trigger an event called the Eternal House of Bonaparte. So yeah. Oh, City of Plenty. In Ile-de-France. Oh, that's excellent. So this is the event. Once again, we can just get some loyalists, or we can get a bunch of loyalists and higher expected standard of living. I'm going to go with this one, because I like having loyalists. Big chunk of loyalists. So that helps out with the Ile-de-France situation pretty significantly. So rice farms, we can go to soil enriching farming and fig orchards for them. So yes, we're working on government administration. I'm going to go ahead and increase law enforcement, investment. I'm going to do more and more of that as we get going with this, because this is just a run where we've got a lot of radicalism and a lot of wild and interesting politics to deal with, and I just want to be keeping myself as strong and capable as I can. 2 arms. As you can see, we've got a fancy new flag. This is a constitutional empire. Technically, they called him the Emperor of France, but I think technically the title is Emperor of the French. It's more nationalistic that way. It's more about him being the ruler of the people than about being the land. So he gained 1.5 progress here. I'm just going to wait for this month changeover so that I can see exactly how much we're getting per month. We're getting 0.5. So that's going to be based on our legitimacy of our government, surely. So if we're getting 0.5 per month, and we need 120, fight in Africa, then that means we'll need 240 months, which is about 20 years. That's not very fast. Hopefully we'll be able to get more progress here later. Perhaps we'll be able to sway the industrialists to our cause. Because that would be a major get. I would be very pleased to have the industrialists in power. That said, we do have a bunch of authority. I could focus on bolstering the armed forces, and I think I'm going to do that, because the armed forces are a very important interest group to have in power in the country. Unfortunately, the thing that it takes a lot of, oh, actually, we got a ton of bureaucracy available. I didn't even see that happen. How much are we paying in welfare? 12,000, quite a bit. I'm not going to increase welfare right away. What I am going to do is put a massive increase in law enforcement and an increase in education. Spain. Why are you big mad? But also, let's be rivals. I accept your rivalship. The next thing I'm going to queue up is some universities. I want to have universities everywhere in France. That's going to produce a lot of innovation, and it's also going to provide the qualifications that our buildings need in order to function. We'll see where that puts my level of innovation. Excellent. So that's the conquest of Algeria, and that's unlocked 2 new journal entries here. So, the proclamation of Algeria. Standing on the deck of the Gloire, flagship of the Mediterranean Squadron, General Bugeaud announces the end of large-scale military operations in Algeria. The colorful procession of troops slowly snakes its way along Algeria's waterfront. Brightly clad Zouaves march lockstep towards the anchored French vessels lining the harbor, carrying the torn battle standards of vanquished Algerian regiments. Behind them, lancers, regulars, and native tirailleurs follow suit. As Thomas Bugeaud gazes out to the vast assembly of French military might from his position on the aft deck, his thoughts are interrupted by the gentle clearing of the throat. It's the governor, sir. He wants to know what's next on the agenda. Today we salute the heroes of Africa. This gives a bunch of loyalists, makes the armed forces stronger, and gives us a bunch of claims. Oh, that's neat. Subsidized companies to acquire farmlands. Gives migration attraction. That's pretty neat. But increase the progress of the legitimists. This gives progress to the Bonapartists. The rule of the saber is at an end. This gives us a bunch of loyalists in Algeria, but not that many. I want this one. East Sahara and Sahara. East Sahara and Sahara. Cool. We're already colonizing those areas, so that should be fine. Does this mean we have the capacity to conquer them? No. Return? No. Okay. But if these nations decide to centralize, then we'll have the capacity to steal those territories. And that will be fun. Spain just did declare themselves our rivals. That's unacceptable. Let's fight. If we decided to steal Cuba... Oh, goodness. Organized crime. Criminal organizations have begun operating in Poitou-Saintonge. It doesn't matter if we arrest one person or solve one crime. It'll keep going unless we go all the way to the top. Put some funds into stamping out the organizations. I'm sure the authorities can handle it. Well, we're going to put some funds. No, we gotta put some funds into it. I can't afford that kind of loss in authority. Friends, I think we're going to end up going to the end of 43 with this run. So we're working on building up... We built up those sulfur mines. That should really solve our sulfur problem. It sure has. Is the free market building chemical plants? No, it is not. Salty. I don't think we need quite as many government administrations as I thought we might have needed. No, we're going to need more, because we're going to need to invest in more colonial affairs pretty soon. I'm going to keep going. Ooh. We have an heir. Henri Bonaparte. He was just born. Let's see what interest group he aligns with. The intelligentsia. Oh, that'll be really interesting. We'll see how that goes. We're still cementing the House of Bonaparte. We haven't had another election yet. I always forget when the elections are. Oh, I was going to read you the new events. So we have two new journal entries here, the Algerian departments and the French Foreign Legion. So, the Algerian departments. The transformation of Algeria from a colonial frontier ruled by the saber to an integral part of metropolitan France has begun. However, as our administration discovered during the conquest, native loyalty is both hard-bought and fickle. In order to properly exploit the many resources of Algeria, we must bring in a more loyal population base, or we must take drastic measures to ensure the loyalty of the one already there. We'll complete if the state regions of Algiers, Oran, and Constantine are fully owned and incorporated with turmoil below 10%, and at least one of the following. They have 20% greater French population, or Maghrebi and Amazigh must be accepted cultures in France. Arab-speaking Middle Eastern heritage. Arab-speaking Middle Eastern heritage. Dial it back. So those are not going to go until we're in multiculturalism, unless we have some kind of event. So probably we're going to shoot for putting more French people there. So that's the first one. The limit of the nation. The notion of natural borders has become popular among supporters of the Rey regime. French patriots demand the expansion of the French state into bordering regions. The limits of France are marked by nature. We will reach the edge of the horizon, from the banks of the North Rhine to the mountains of Savoy to the coast of Flanders. The boundaries of our nation must be there. Our boundaries must reach the Rhine. Ooh, look at all this. Wallonia, Flanders, Rhineland, North Rhine, and Savoy. Interesting. Or this is an absurd notion. The armed forces get mad. You know what? Let's do it. Let's be an aggressive France. So, to get this, we need Wallonia, Flanders, Rhineland, and North Rhine. And here's quinine. So, we'll go ahead and get colonial affairs increasing. And the other part of this is that now we can colonize states that have malaria. Law enforcement increasing again. Oh, we can colonize into Morocco as well. Let's do that. Do we colonize at the... Yeah, weird. Fair enough, though. You can check this in the state's view, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I already know which ones they are. It's basically all these ones here in Western Africa. This is going to leave us with a bunch of states that have... that are cut off from our market due to a shortage of naval infrastructure. So I'm just going to go ahead and put and build ports in all of these ones that have this notification of no market access. It's actually only 3. I'm going to tick those ports up to the top of the priority scale here. Get those done right away. Or at least as right away as is convenient. Let's see, we do have a strong market for porcelain, so I'm going to go ahead and get our glassworks producing more of that. And now we have a glass shortage. because our glassworks are no longer producing the porcelain we need, which is fine. The free market will sort that out. It's a shame. I actually sure would like to switch over to laissez-faire, but there are a lot of people who don't want this, including the armed forces. So we'll leave that where it is for now. This would create a real civil war if I, a heckin' civil war of civil wars. But it would be entertaining. Right. The French Foreign Legion. That was the other event. If we are to rule in Africa, we must establish a permanent military presence on the continent. We must be prepared to accept that these forces will have to be recruited from local populations and from brave or desperate soldiers from foreign nations. We'll complete if we have 3 states in the North Africa strategic region. It's going to be these 3. Oran, Algeria, and Constantine, obviously, with 20 or more levels of barracks that are at least 50% employed. That should give us a fun event. So right now we're working on cementing the House of Bonaparte as our primary power block. I'm going to go ahead and start improving relations with the United States and with Brazil. Those are both countries that can potentially have a lot going on. And we'll go ahead and start damaging relations with Belgium, because that's a country we're going to try and take over. And we're also going to potentially seize territory in Prussia. So, but I think Belgium's a good target initially. As you can see, we've now got pursuing the natural borders of France. This gives us 33% less infamy decay. So we're going to generally have to slow our proverbial roll on overall aggressive expansion. But that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Armed forces are getting stronger and stronger. And yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident about the future. So our sort of priority going forward is going to be to try to increase our legitimacy however we can do it. And there will be ways of doing it once we have another election and this stuff all sort of shakes out. The armed forces should form a party with the Bonapartists. Actually, I'll be able to sway this guy to Bonapartism soon, and that might actually really help us. With that having been said, we have one more event, and then I'm going to call it quits. So, the Arab Bureaus. Building on experiences made during the pacification of Algiers, General Clausel has requested the creation of a bureau staffed by ethnographers, orientalists, and intelligence officers to aid colonial authorities in their interactions with the native population. 2 years ago, you went into the interior looking for a better way to tame the land. Now you return, saying we must confine the Europeans and not the natives? My friend, you have spent far too much time outside the city walls. The sun may have frazzled your brains. Their skills will be instrumental in pacifying the land. All these places get reduced radicals from discrimination, but it totally messes up my university throughput. Better understanding equals better exploitation. Better throughput for farms in all those areas. Or abolish this initiative, it will only impede our settlers. Extra migration attraction, extra radicals from discrimination. I mean, we do want migration attraction there, so I think we're going to do this. This is not a chill nice guys run here, friends. We're colonizing. We're colonizing here. We want to get this number up to, I think 20% was the number, right? Yeah, 20%. This number here, 0.5%, we need up to 20%. 0.5%, we need up to 20%. 4%, bring it up to 20%. Those are rookie numbers. Get those numbers up. Are also operating at kind of a significant budget deficit, but I think maybe we'll take a break on construction once all of this stuff is done being built, and that'll help. Anyway, I'm delaying ending the episode should stop doing that. Friends, I've had fun. I hope you've had fun. And I'll see you all on the other side.